Hi, my name is Allie Levine with ITS Applications Training at Wichita State University, and I want to show you how to merge several sheets of information using Power Query. I will make an accompanying blog post to go along with this, but I thought you might like to see this in action as well. So this is a common scenario. I have 3 sheets with similar information. These are Star Trek characters, in case there are any Star Trek fans out there. So first sheet here has a name. Everyone has kind of a random number assigned and a location. Second sheet has same names, but this time we have a different column of information. Third sheet, and so on and so forth. So a lot of times you have 3 bits of information that you're merging from different sources and you have some sort of commonality. Maybe it's an ID or maybe it's a name. In this case, it's going to be a name. All fictional information, by the way. So first step to do with this is to turn each of these into a table. If you've attended Excel Essentials, you know how much I love tables, and I tell you that the cool stuff we do with tables in our Excel sessions is just the beginning of the cool things you can do with tables. So we talk about in Essentials going up on the Home tab into the Styles group, Format as Table. But if all you want is a table with just the table functionality and you don't care what it looks like, the command for that is Control-T, just a really quick way to turn something into a table. And as we do these, make sure that My Table Has Headers is selected. That's going to be really important for this exercise. So I'm going to do this with each of my tables. So this table does not have it selected. My Table Has Headers. I'm going to check on that just to make sure. If you want to, by the way, some people really like to rename their tables up here in your Table Design tab. This is not something we tend to cover in Essentials, but if this helps you keep straight your information, go for it. I don't think I'm going to do it for this particular example. So I have 3 tables. I'm going to go up now to the Data tab in the ribbon, and I'm going to use this group called Get and Transform Data, also known as Power Query. I'm basically going to load all 3 of these tables into the Power Query screen. So I have a shortcut here from Table or Range. If you don't see this button here under Get and Transform Data, it might be in your drop-down for Get Data. Sometimes it just depends on your version. So I'm going to start with my first table. I've clicked into that first table to select it. I'm on the Data tab, Get and Transform Data from Table or Range. This is going to take us into the Power Query screen. This screen is a different experience if you've never been here before. It's a little bit different feel to it than most of our Excel screens do. So I'm going to do a couple things here. This is just my table. I'm not really going to make a lot of changes to it. I am going to take out this changed type step here. And if we ever do a full session on this, I'll kind of explain why I do that. But for now, I'm just going to do that with this table. That's the only change I'm going to make. I'm going to go up here to the Close and Load button, the drop down for Close and Load. I'm going to select Close and Load To. And because I don't really need another copy of this same table, I actually just wanted to create a connection here. So I'm going to select Only Create a Connection. Otherwise, it's going to give me another copy on a new worksheet. I'm going to click OK. I'm seeing it now on the right side of my screen under Queries and Connections. I'm going to do those same steps with my other 2 tables. So going to my table, getting data from a table or range, getting rid of that changed type, closing and loading with only creating a connection. Okay, I have all 3 of my tables now loaded up as queries, and now I'm going to create connections between the 3 of them. So I'm going to go up here, back up where I was in the Data tab under Get Data, drop down. This time I'm going to select Combine Queries, and I'm going to select Merge. Now this is going to take you to an entirely different screen. From the drop-downs, you can select 2 tables. I'm going to start with just my first table here. And I'm going to select the second table for my second area. And don't worry, we'll get to the third one in just a second. Now I have to select what commonality there are between the 2 tables. So I'm going to select the name column on each of these. Notice the names are in different orders. It doesn't matter as long as they are spelled the same way. I can select both names here. We'll talk about joins if we do a full session. For now, just keep that where it is. And I can see that I've got 9 matches here underneath, so I'm good to go here. I'm going to click OK. All right, I'm back on the Power Query screen. It's a little bit different. There's a tiny little button here that is vital to what we're doing, and it is this little double-headed arrow here at the top of Table 2. I'm going to click on that and expand this. So I'm going to uncheck name. I already have name, but what I want to bring into this table is animal. So I'm going to keep that checked. Click OK. Now I've added Table 2's column for animal assigned to each of these individuals. One thing you can do, this is also optional, is you can rename the tops of your columns in Power Query just by double clicking. Looks a little neater that way. Now I would like to bring that final table into this query. So I'm actually going to stay in this Power Query screen. I'm going to go up into the ribbon into the Combine group here and select Merge Queries from the Combine group. This is going to take me back to what looks like a familiar screen, but it's got my merged query, my original merged query up here, and I'm going to bring in that final table here, Table 3. That was the one I didn't get to do. The commonality between my merged table and Table 3 is again the name column, so I'm going to select that in both and click OK. Just like we did with the previous example, I'm going to expand upon this by clicking on the double-headed arrow by Table 3. And I just want to bring in that one column that I'm missing here, which is Candy in this scenario. And I can rename the top of this column just like we did with animal. All right, I have all of my data merged together into one table now. I'm ready to do the final step here, which is to close and load this to a sheet on my workbook. So I'm going to go back up to the Close and Load dropdown and select Close and Load to, and this time I would actually like this to appear in my workbook. So I'm going to keep the defaults that are selected here rather than just creating a connection like we did before. I'm going to have it create a table in a new worksheet, which is the default, and I'm going to click OK. All right, so now I have my final table here with all of my merged information. This is actually a connection that's connected to my other 3 sheets here, data 1, 2, and 3. So one quick note for you here, if you do make a change to some of your data, so if I go to my data 1 sheet, for instance, and I say that I'm going to put Chakotay on Earth, after all, his character on Voyager. If I go back to my merged data on my first sheet here, you're going to see it doesn't actually change his location. This is a familiar thing that happens to you if you're used to working with pivot tables. What you do is the exact same thing here. You're going to right-click on top of this and select Refresh. So that was just a quick tutorial to show you how you can combine some data using the Power Query options in the Data tab. I hope that was helpful to you. I will also include the exercises and the final version of this file on the blog post, which is probably how you found this video. So I hope this was helpful, hope you're staying well, and I will see you in the next video.